You're getting old. Just write your will already, said my greedy son. I was setting the table when my son walked into my kitchen and said those words. Words that would freeze any mother's heart. You're getting old already. Write your will. I stopped. The fork in my hand trembled. I looked at Marcus, my firstborn, the boy I raised alone after his father abandoned us. The child I worked 2 jobs for. The man standing in my modest living room wearing a watch that cost more than my monthly bills. He wasn't joking. His wife Vivian stood behind him, her perfectly manicured nails wrapped around a wine glass, her smile sharp as broken glass. She didn't say anything. She didn't have to. Her eyes said it all. I'm 48 years old. Not 70. Not dying. Just 48. But in that moment, looking at my son's cold expression, I felt ancient. Used up. Invisible. You know what hurts more than betrayal? It's when betrayal comes from the person you would have died for. I spent 26 years sacrificing everything for this man. And now he was standing in the home I bought with my own broken back, asking me to hurry up and plan my death. Before continuing, if this story is touching your heart, subscribe to the channel and tell us in the comments where you are watching from. Don't forget to ring the notification bell, because every day I'm bringing you stories of women who turn their deepest pain into a new good way of living their lives. That night, after they left, I sat alone in my kitchen. The same kitchen where I used to make Marcus breakfast before school. Where I cried when the divorce papers came. Where I counted pennies to make sure my children could eat. Something inside me shifted. They wanted a will? Fine. I'd write one. But what I was about to put in that document would destroy everything they were planning. And I smiled for the first time in months. Let me take you back. Because you need to understand how I got here. How a mother's love can be so twisted and used that it becomes unrecognizable. 23 years ago, I was married to Daniel. We had 2 beautiful children. Marcus was 3, Emma was just a baby. We weren't rich, but we were happy. Or so I thought. Then one Tuesday morning, Daniel told me he was leaving. There was someone else. Someone younger. Someone without stretch marks and exhaustion in her eyes. He walked out with 2 suitcases and never looked back. I was 35 years old, alone with 2 kids, and a mountain of debt he left behind. Credit cards I didn't even know existed. A second mortgage he took out without telling me. I had 2 choices, collapse or fight. I fought. I worked as a receptionist during the day. Cleaned offices at night. On weekends, I waitressed at a diner where the owner let me bring the kids and feed them from the kitchen. Emma would sleep in a booth. Marcus would do his homework at table 7. Those were the years that aged me. Not time. Survival. But I never let my children see me break. I smiled through the exhaustion. I showed up to every school play, every parent-teacher conference. When Marcus got pneumonia at age 7, I stayed by his hospital bed for 4 days straight, praying to a God I wasn't sure was listening. He recovered. And I went back to work with even more hours to pay off the medical bills. Marcus was always ambitious. Always wanted more. When he turned 18, he told me he wanted to go to college. A good one. An expensive one. I had $700 in my savings account. So I sold my mother's ring. The only thing I had left of her. It paid for his first semester. The rest I borrowed, worked for, begged for. For years later, Marcus graduated with a business degree. I was so proud I cried through the entire ceremony. Emma held my hand and whispered, "Mom, you did it." But Marcus didn't hug me that day. He was too busy networking with his new friends. Friends whose parents owned lake houses and drove cars worth more than my annual salary. That's when I started noticing the change. He visited less. Called even less. When he did come by, he'd look around my small house with something like embarrassment in his eyes. Then he met Vivian. She came from money. Real money. The kind that's been in families for generations. She had a trust fund and an attitude that made everyone around her feel small. Marcus fell hard. Or maybe he just saw an opportunity. They got married in a ceremony I could barely afford to attend. The venue alone cost more than I made in 6 months. Vivian's mother looked at me like I was the help. After the wedding, Marcus changed completely. He started making comments about my house, my car, my clothes. He'd say things like, "Mom, don't you think it's time to upgrade? Or maybe you should consider downsizing, this place is too much for you." But I knew what he was really saying, "You're an embarrassment." Emma, on the other hand, stayed close. She never forgot where we came from. She became a teacher, making modest money but rich in kindness. Every Sunday, she'd come over with groceries and help me in the garden. She's the daughter every mother prays for. Then last year, something changed in the neighborhood. Developers started buying up properties. The area I bought into 20 years ago because it was all I could afford suddenly became desirable. Coffee shops opened. Young professionals moved in. My little house, the one I paid off through blood and tears, was now worth $890,000. I didn't tell anyone. But somehow, Marcus found out. The visits increased. Suddenly he cared again. He'd stop by with Vivian, and they'd walk through the house like they were measuring it for furniture. Vivian would say things like, "This kitchen is so quaint. Very retro." With that smile that wasn't really a smile. Then 3 weeks ago, Emma came to me with something. She'd installed a security camera by the front door months earlier, worried about break-ins in the neighborhood. "Mom," she said, her face pale. "You need to see this." The footage was from 2 nights before. After I'd gone to bed, Marcus and Vivian had stayed in my living room, talking. I turned up the volume and listened. Marcus's voice, "We need to figure this out soon. The business is drowning. We're $60,000 in debt." Vivian's response, "Your mother's sitting on almost $1 million in equity and living like she's poor. It's ridiculous." "Marcus, what do you want me to do? She's only 48. She could live another 40 years. Vivian laughed. A cold, calculating sound. "Then maybe it's time she considers her future. There are nice assisted living facilities. We could convince her she needs help. Get power of attorney." Marcus didn't argue. He didn't defend me. He just nodded. Then Vivian added, "Or we just push harder on the will. Make her feel old. Tired. Guilty. Whatever works." I watched that video 3 times. Each time hoping I'd misheard. Misunderstood. But I hadn't. My son, the boy I sacrificed everything for, was planning to manipulate me out of my own home. Out of my own life. Emma cried when she showed me. I didn't. I was beyond tears. I was something else now. That's when I called Mr. Thompson. Mr. Thompson had been our family lawyer since the divorce. He was the one who helped me keep the house when Daniel tried to take it. He was there when I filed for child support that never came. He knew my story. His office smelled like old books and coffee. Safe. Trustworthy. I sat across from him and told him everything. Showed him the video. He watched it once. His jaw tightened. Then he leaned back and removed his glasses. "This is elder abuse," he said quietly. "Even if you're not elderly yet. The intent is clear." "I don't want to sue him," I said. "He's still my son. Mr. Thompson studied me for a long moment. Then what do you want? I want justice. The kind that teaches a lesson. He smiled. Just a little. Then let's write a will. But let's be smart about it. We spent 2 hours going through options. He explained laws, loopholes, protections. He suggested things I never would have thought of. When we finished, I had a plan. A real one. But I didn't tell anyone. Not even Emma. Not yet. The next few weeks were torture. Marcus called constantly. Always with the same underlying message. Mom, have you thought about what we discussed? Mom, Vivian and I were looking at some retirement communities. Just for future planning. Mom, you're working too hard. You should slow down. Enjoy life. Every word felt like a knife. Because underneath the concern was greed. Pure, unfiltered greed. Vivian started coming by during the day when Marcus was at work. She'd walk through my house touching things. Looking at things. Once, she picked up a photo of Marcus as a child and said, he was so sweet back then. Before life got complicated. She meant before me. Before the burden of a poor mother became too heavy. I smiled politely and offered her tea. But inside, I was documenting everything. Before we continue, make sure to like this video and subscribe. With your support, we can keep bringing more stories from powerful women that touch the heart of all of us. Then one afternoon, Emma called me panicked. Mom, you need to come to the coffee shop. Now. I drove there in 10 minutes. Emma was sitting in the back corner, her laptop open, her face white. What is it? She turned the screen toward me. It was Marcus's bank statements. She'd found them on a shared cloud account from years ago that he'd forgotten about. Look at this, she said, pointing. 3 months ago, I'd given Marcus $15,000. He said it was an emergency. A business investment that fell through. He needed it desperately. I borrowed it. From my retirement fund. It almost emptied what little I'd saved. But according to these statements, that money didn't go to any business emergency. It went to a luxury vacation. To the Maldives. First-class flights. A 5-star resort. Couples spa treatments. He lied to me. Straight to my face. Took my retirement money and spent it on a vacation while I was working double shifts at the diner to rebuild what I'd given him. Emma's hand covered mine. Mom, I'm so sorry. I stared at the screen. At the proof of my son's betrayal. And something inside me finally broke free. Not sadness. Not even anger. Clarity. That evening, as I sat in my kitchen, my phone rang. Unknown number. Hello? The voice on the other end made my blood run cold. Hey. It's Daniel. My ex-husband. The man who abandoned us 23 years ago. Who paid child support maybe 6 times in total. Who I hadn't heard from in over a decade. I know this is unexpected, he said. But I've been thinking about you. About us. About the family. I said nothing. I heard about the neighborhood, he continued. How well you've done. I'm proud of you. And I was thinking maybe we could reconnect. Talk about old times. I've changed, you know. I'm sober now. Working on myself. His voice was smooth. Practiced. And I knew exactly why he was calling. The house. Everyone wanted the house. Daniel kept talking. Making promises. Saying he wanted to be part of the family again. That he missed me. I let him finish. Then I said one sentence. I'll think about it. And I hung up. That night, I called Mr. Thompson. We need to move faster, I told him. He understood immediately. Your will is ready. When do you want to execute it? I thought about Marcus. About Vivian. About Daniel circling back like a vulture. About every sacrifice, every sleepless night, every tear I cried alone. Soon, I said. Very soon. But first, I'm going to give them exactly what they want. What's that? A family dinner. Where we talk about my will. Mr. Thompson was quiet for a moment. Then he said something I'll never forget. Sometimes the best way to expose darkness is to turn on all the lights. Exactly. I spent the next 3 days planning. Emma helped. She knew now. She knew everything. We sent out invitations. Marcus and Vivian. Daniel. Mr. Thompson. The email was simple: family dinner this Saturday. 7 p.m. Important announcement about my estate. Marcus responded within 5 minutes. We'll be there. Vivian sent a separate text. Finally being responsible. Proud of you. Daniel called. Said he was honored to be included. That it meant the world. None of them knew what was coming. Saturday arrived. I cooked all day. A full meal. The kind I used to make when the kids were little. Roast chicken. Mashed potatoes. Green beans. Apple pie. If this was going to be a war, it would be civilized. Emma arrived first. She hugged me tight. You sure about this? I've never been more sure of anything. Marcus and Vivian came next. Marcus actually kissed my cheek. Vivian brought wine. Expensive wine. They were celebrating already. Daniel showed up last, flowers in hand. Cheap ones from a grocery store. He looked older. Worn. But his eyes still had that same calculating gleam. Mr. Thompson arrived exactly at 7, briefcase in hand. We sat down to dinner. The tension was thick enough to cut. But I smiled. Served food. Poured wine. And waited for the perfect moment to destroy everything they were hoping for. The dinner started pleasantly enough. Too pleasantly. Marcus complimented the chicken. Vivian talked about a charity event she was planning. Daniel told stories about his new job, his new life, his new perspective. All of them performing. Auditioning for a role in my future. Or rather, in my assets. I let them talk. Let them relax. Let them think this was going exactly as they planned. Emma barely touched her food. She kept glancing at me, then at Mr. Thompson, who sat quietly at the end of the table, observing everything. After dessert, I stood up and cleared my throat. Thank you all for coming tonight. I know it's been a long time since we've all been together like this. Daniel smiled warmly. Too warmly. It's wonderful. Like old times. Not quite like old times, I said. My voice was steady. Calm. Because old times, Daniel, you weren't here. You were with someone else. Living a different life while I raised our children alone. His smile faltered. The room went quiet. But that's the past, I continued. Tonight is about the future. My future. And since everyone here seems so concerned about it, I thought we should talk openly. Marcus shifted in his seat. Mom, we just want what's best for you. Do you? I walked slowly around the table. Because I've been wondering what best for me actually means to each of you. I stopped behind Vivian's chair. Vivian, you've been so thoughtful lately. Coming by during the day. Looking at my things. Commenting on how I should downsize. Tell me, what made you so interested in my well-being? She turned, her face composed. I care about you. Your family. Family, I repeated. That's a powerful word. Family doesn't usually discuss putting their mother in assisted living when she's only 48. Family doesn't calculate equity while sitting on her couch. Vivian's face went pale. I don't know what you're talking about. I pulled out my phone. Pulled up the video. Set it on the table in front of her. Then maybe this will refresh your memory. I pressed play. Their voices filled my dining room. Marcus talking about debt. Vivian laughing about pushing me into feeling old, tired, guilty. The suggestion of power of attorney. The cold calculation in every word. Marcus stood up abruptly. Where did you get that? Emma installed a security camera, I said quietly. For my protection. Turns out I needed it. Marcus's face went from pale to red. You were spying on us? I was protecting myself. From my own son. The words hung in the air like smoke. Mom, listen, Marcus started, his voice taking on a pleading tone. That conversation was taken out of context. We were just worried about you. About your future. Were you worried when you took $15,000 from me? I turned to face him directly. When you told me it was for a business emergency? When I gave you money from my retirement fund? Emma slid the bank statements across the table. Because according to these, that emergency was actually a luxury vacation to the Maldives. Marcus froze. His mouth opened but no sound came out. First-class flights, I continued. 5-star resort. Couples spa packages. All while I worked double shifts to rebuild what I gave you. All while you were calling me asking about my will. That was different, Marcus said weakly. We needed that vacation. The stress. The stress? My voice rose for the first time. Do you want to talk about stress, Marcus? Let me tell you about stress. Stress is being 35 and abandoned. Stress is working 3 jobs so your children can eat. Stress is selling your dead mother's ring so your son can go to college. Stress is watching that son grow up and become so ashamed of you that he can't even look you in the eye. Tears burned behind my eyes, but I refused to let them fall. Not here. Not now. Vivian stood up. We don't have to listen to this. Sit down, I said. My voice was ice. You wanted to talk about my estate. So we're going to talk about my estate. Mr. Thompson stood and opened his briefcase. He pulled out a folder. Set it on the table. This is my will, I said. The one you've been so eager for me to write. The one my son demanded I complete because I'm getting old. Marcus reached for it, but Mr. Thompson's hand stopped him. Let me summarize, Mr. Thompson said. His voice was professional. Detached. As of last week, your mother's estate has been arranged as follows. The room was completely silent. The house will be sold upon her death or at her discretion. 50% of all proceeds will go to Emma, who has shown consistent love, loyalty, and support. Emma's eyes filled with tears. She tried to speak, but I shook my head gently. The other 50%, Mr. Thompson continued, will go to establishing a foundation. The foundation will support single mothers in financial crisis. Women who were abandoned by their partners. Women who sacrificed everything for their children. I watched Marcus's face drain of color. And Marcus, Mr. Thompson said, looking directly at my son, you will receive the sum of $1. The silence was deafening. $1? Vivian's voice was shrill. You're leaving him $1? It's symbolic, Mr. Thompson explained. $1 ensures the will cannot be contested on grounds of being forgotten or overlooked. He was specifically remembered. And specifically given exactly what his behavior earned. Marcus stood up so fast his chair fell backward. You can't do this. I can. I did. Mom, please. His voice cracked. I'm your son. You are my son, I said quietly. My son was the little boy who held my hand in the hospital. Who I stayed up with all night when he had nightmares. My son was the reason I fought through the hardest years of my life. But that son disappeared. The man standing in front of me is someone I don't recognize. Someone who sees his mother as an obstacle to wealth. Marcus's hands were shaking. That video, those statements, they don't tell the whole story. Then tell me, I said. Tell me the whole story. Explain to me how any of this shows love. Shows respect. Shows anything except greed. He couldn't. He stood there, opening and closing his mouth like a fish drowning in air. I turned to Daniel. And you? You have some nerve showing up here after 23 years. I wanted to help, he said. His voice was smaller now. I wanted to be part of the family again. You wanted to be part of the money, I corrected. Let me guess. You heard about the property value. Figured you'd try your luck. See if the woman you abandoned might be stupid enough to take you back now that there's something to gain. That's not fair, he protested weakly. Fair? I laughed, but there was no humor in it. You want to talk about fair? You left me with 2 babies and a mountain of debt. You paid child support 6 times in 23 years. 6 times, Daniel. I kept count because each time felt like a miracle. And now you show up with grocery store flowers talking about reconnection? I walked closer to him. You're not part of this family. You forfeited that right when you walked out. Daniel stood up. Tried to maintain some dignity. I can see I made a mistake coming here. Your only mistake, I said, was thinking I'd forgotten what you did to us. He grabbed his jacket and walked out. Didn't even say goodbye. Good, Emma whispered. Good riddance. Vivian was gathering her purse. Her composure had completely cracked. You're making a huge mistake. We'll contest this. We'll fight you in court. Mr. Thompson cleared his throat. Actually, you won't. The will is ironclad. I made sure of it. And if you attempt to contest it, there's a clause that will donate Marcus's $1 to charity as well. He'll receive nothing. You're insane, Vivian spat at me. You're a bitter, selfish old woman. I'm 48, I said calmly. And I'm done being used. Vivian grabbed Marcus's arm. Come on. We're leaving. But Marcus didn't move. He was staring at me. Really looking at me for the first time in years. Mom, he said softly. I'm sorry. Are you? I asked. Are you sorry for what you did? Or are you sorry you got caught? He didn't answer. Couldn't answer. That's what I thought. Vivian pulled harder on his arm. Marcus. Now. He let her drag him toward the door. But at the threshold, he turned back one more time. I never meant to hurt you. But you did, I said. You hurt me more than your father ever could. Because I expected it from him. But from you? From the son I gave everything to? That pain will never go away. They left. The door closed behind them with a soft click. And suddenly it was just me, Emma, and Mr. Thompson in my small dining room. Emma came to me and wrapped her arms around me. I let myself lean into her. Let myself feel the weight of what I'd just done. You were amazing, she whispered. I don't feel amazing. I feel sad. Mr. Thompson packed up his briefcase. You did the right thing. Sometimes love means setting boundaries. Even with our children. Especially with our children, I said. After he left, Emma and I cleaned up in silence. Washing dishes. Putting away leftovers. The simple, normal tasks felt grounding. Do you think he'll ever understand? Emma asked. Marcus, I mean. I don't know, I admitted. Maybe. Maybe not. But I can't spend the rest of my life waiting for him to realize what he lost. She dried the last plate and hugged me again. I'm so proud of you. I held my daughter close. The one who stayed. The one who loved me without condition or calculation. Outside, rain started to fall. Soft at first, then harder. And I realized something. For the first time in 23 years, I felt light. The weight of expectations, of sacrifice, of being used, it was gone. I was free. 6 months have passed since that dinner. The house sold faster than I expected. A young couple bought it. They have a baby on the way. They walked through every room with wonder in their eyes, talking about the garden, the kitchen, the light in the living room. I smiled and didn't tell them about all the tears those walls had absorbed. Let them make new memories. Emma and I found a 2-bedroom apartment in a quiet neighborhood. It's smaller than the house, but it's ours. We decorated it together. Painted the living room a soft blue. Hung photos of us, just the two of us, on the walls. No pictures of Marcus. Not yet. Maybe someday. The foundation launched last month. We called it Second Chances. I work there 3 days a week as a volunteer coordinator. We've already helped 12 women. 12 mothers who were where I was. Scared. Alone. Wondering how they'd survive. I tell them what I learned: you will survive. And you'll be stronger than you ever imagined. Mr. Thompson serves on the board. He told me last week that he's never been prouder of a client. Vivian left Marcus. 2 months after the will was finalized, she filed for divorce. Turns out when the money didn't materialize, neither did her love. Marcus tried to contest the will. Just like Vivian said he would. It went exactly as Mr. Thompson predicted. Dismissed immediately. The judge actually called it frivolous. 3 weeks ago, Marcus showed up at my apartment. Emma answered the door. She didn't let him in, but she called me. I walked to the doorway. He looked different. Thinner. Tired. His expensive watch was gone. So was the arrogance. Can we talk? He asked. I stepped outside. Closed the door behind me. We stood on the landing between floors. What do you want, Marcus? I want to apologize. Really apologize. Not because I want something. But because I need you to know that I understand now. What I did. What I became. I crossed my arms. Go on. He took a breath. Vivian's gone. The business failed. I lost everything. And I realized that the only thing I actually miss is you. Not the house. Not the money. You. Tears ran down his face. Real tears this time. I was wrong, Mom. I was so wrong. I became everything I hated. I became Dad. That hit him hard. I could see it in his eyes. I don't expect you to forgive me, he continued. I don't even deserve to ask. But I needed you to know that I'm sorry. Truly sorry. I looked at my son. The man he'd become. The boy he used to be. I'm not ready to forgive you, I said honestly. Maybe someday. But not today. He nodded. I understand. But I won't close the door either. When you figure out who you really are, when you learn what actually matters in life, come back. We can talk then. You mean it? I mean it. But Marcus, I'm not the same person I was 6 months ago. I'm not the mother who will sacrifice herself to make you comfortable. I'm not the woman who will accept crumbs of affection and call it love. I know, he whispered. Good. Then you know what you need to do. He left. Walked down the stairs and out of the building. Emma was watching from the window. Think he'll come back? I don't know. But if he does, it'll be on honest terms. Or not at all. She hugged me. Either way, you'll be okay. She was right. Last Sunday, I planted roses in the community garden behind our building. Emma helped. We worked in comfortable silence, our hands in the dirt, the sun warm on our backs. A woman from the apartment below us came out with her daughter. She introduced herself. Said she'd heard about second chances. Said she might need help. I gave her my number. Told her to call anytime. As we were finishing, Emma said something that made me smile. You know, Mom, you look younger now than you did 6 months ago. I laughed. That's because I finally learned to live for myself. Better late than never. She was right about that too. That night, I sat on our small balcony with a cup of tea. The city lights twinkled below. Somewhere out there, Marcus was learning hard lessons. Daniel was probably chasing another opportunity. Vivian was moving on to her next target. But I was here. Safe. Free. Surrounded by love that didn't come with conditions. They wanted me to write my will. They wanted me to plan my ending. But I was just beginning. People think getting older means slowing down. Giving up. Preparing for the end. They're wrong. Getting older means finally understanding what matters. It means having the courage to set boundaries. It means refusing to be used by people who should love you. I'm 48 years old. Not 70. Not dying. I'm living. Really living. For the first time in decades, I'm living for myself. And you know what? It feels incredible. The wind picked up. Cool and refreshing. Inside, I could hear Emma singing along to the radio while she cooked dinner. I closed my eyes and took a deep breath. They thought I was old. Used up. Ready to be discarded. But they were wrong. I'm not ending. I'm just getting started. If this story moved you, click on the next video that's appearing on the screen now. I'm sure you'll be surprised by this new emotional and heartbreaking story I have right here to tell you.